Ever walk into a movie halfway through and feel totally lost? This is kind of how I feel about crypto sometimes, especially with companies like Metal. They've got like a million different things going on.
Yeah, what's interesting with Metal is they're not just dipping their toes in the water, you know. They're going all in on building this whole ecosystem.
Okay, see, now that's cool,
Yeah.
but also kind of confusing. Metal Pay,
Yeah.
but Metal X, Metal Blockchain, XPR Network, Metal Dollar. It's a lot to keep track of.
Well, that's why we're doing this deep dive, right? We're going to break it all down, give you that clear picture of what Metal's all about.
Love it. So no more feeling like I wandered into the wrong crypto jungle.
Exactly.
Music to my ears. So before we get into the nitty gritty, how about we do like a quick flyover of this whole Metalverse? Give our listeners the lay of the land.
Great idea. Imagine you've got a map of the whole Metal ecosystem.
Okay, I'm picturing it. Where do we start?
How about with the part that's most user-friendly, you know, like Metal Pay?
Metal Pay, right. What's the deal with that?
Think of it as your on-ramp to the crypto world. You can buy, sell, send crypto easily. Kind of like a supercharged Venmo, but for crypto.
Okay, like the sound of that. Supercharged Venmo. What else makes Metal Pay stand out?
Well, they claim to have the lowest fees in the industry.
Lowest fees. You've got my attention. All right, so that's the entry point, the on-ramp. But let's say our listeners ready to level up. What's next on our map?
Next up, you got Metal X, their trading platform.
Metal X. And this isn't just your average trading platform.
Not at all. This is where things get really interesting with DeFi, decentralized finance.
DeFi, that's one of those terms you hear everywhere now. What's a DeFi function on Metal X, like in plain English?
So imagine being able to lend out your crypto to someone else and earn interest on it. But you don't need a bank involved at all.
Interesting. So Metal X is making it easier to get involved with this whole DeFi thing.
Exactly. Plus, they're offering zero gas fees on Bitcoin trading.
Zero gas fees. Hold on. I feel like we need to explain what gas fees even are.
Good point. Imagine gas fees as tolls you pay on the blockchain highway.
Blockchain highway. I like this analogy.
Every time you make a transaction, like trading Bitcoin, you usually have to pay a fee to the network to process it. Those are gas fees.
Okay, so Metal X is getting rid of those tolls, at least for Bitcoin. That's a pretty sweet deal. Okay, I'm starting to see why people are excited about Metal.
Yeah.
But back to our map. Every good map needs a key, right? What's the underlying technology powering this whole Metalverse?
That would be the Metal blockchain. It's the foundation that everything else is built on.
The foundation. So why is this Metal blockchain so important?
It's not just any blockchain. They're building it with compliance and security as top priorities, especially for financial institutions.
Really? Why focus so much on financial institutions?
Well, think about it. For blockchain to really take off, it needs to be embraced by the bigger players, right? The institutions.
If that makes sense.
By building with their needs in mind, Metal saying, hey, we want to work with you, not replace you.
If that makes sense. Interesting approach. Okay, so we've got Metal blockchain, our solid foundation. What about this XPR network I see on our map? What's that all about?
So if the Metal blockchain is the foundation, then the XPR network is like the superhighway built on top of it.
A superhighway.
It's all about speed and efficiency.
Okay, I'm intrigued. How does that work in practice?
Think instant transactions, even something called developer bounties.
Developer bounties.
Yeah, where developers get rewarded for building cool new apps on the network.
Okay, that sounds pretty technical. Maybe we save that for later when we zoom in on XPR network specifically.
Sounds good to me.
All right, so we've got the foundation, the Metal blockchain. We've got our superhighway, the XPR network. What else is there to see on this map of ours?
Well, every good ecosystem needs its own currency, right? And for Metal, that's the Metal dollar, XMD.
Right, XMD. Their stablecoin. It's a little different from other stablecoins I've seen, though, isn't it?
Yeah, you're right. It's not just pegged to the US dollar. They're using a whole basket of stablecoins to back it.
A basket of stablecoins?
Yeah. Like a diversified portfolio, but for your digital dollar.
Okay, that's interesting. So they've got USDC, PAXG, USDT, even PYUSD, all backing XMD. What's the advantage of that?
Think of it this way. Let's say one of those stable coins has a bad day. You know, some unexpected news comes out or there's a market hiccup. Because XMD is backed by multiple stable coins, it's not going to be as affected.
So it's like built-in stability.
Exactly.
A stablecoin safety net. I like it. Okay, before we get into how Metal's actually being used, there's one thing that keeps popping up, this whole compliance thing. Can you explain why Metal seems so focused on that?
Exactly. Yeah, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Especially in crypto, right? Which, let's be honest, sometimes has a reputation for being the Wild West.
Right.
But Metal's really leaning into playing by the rules. They even have this banking innovation program.
Banking innovation program. That sounds pretty official.
It is. They're working directly with financial institutions to build blockchain solutions.
So they're not just talking the talk. They're actually working with banks.
They are. They've even got credit unions already using their platform.
Wow. Okay. That's huge for their credibility, isn't it?
Absolutely. It shows they're serious about long-term adoption, not just a quick buck.
All right, let's circle back to something we talked about earlier. Those zero gas fees for Bitcoin trading on Metal X. How do they do that? Everyone else seems to charge an arm and a leg.
It's all about how their XPR network is designed. They're using something called delegated proof of stake, DPoS.
DPoS. Okay, break that down for me.
All right, imagine you're back in high school.
Don't remind me.
But bear with me. So in a traditional proof of work system, kind of like Bitcoin uses, it's like everyone in the school is frantically trying to solve math problems, right?
Okay.
And whoever solves the most gets to add the next block to the blockchain and earn rewards. It works, but it uses a lot of energy, and that's where those gas fees come in.
Okay, I'm following so far.
So with DPoS, it's different. It's like we elect a group of class representatives, we'll call them validators, and those validators are responsible for verifying transactions and adding blocks to the blockchain.
And we trust them to do it right.
Exactly. They have a stake in keeping the network secure, and because it's a more efficient system, you don't need as much energy, and often you can get rid of those gas fees.
So basically, with this DPoS system, MetalX users get a smoother ride, and they don't have to pay the toll. And that smoother ride might just convince more people to start using crypto. Right.
Got it.
Okay, I think I'm getting the hang of this Metalverse now. But there's one piece of the puzzle I'm still trying to fit in. Metal L2. What is that all about?
Metal L2. That's like the bridge. It connects everything.
The bridge?
Yeah, think of it this way. You've got the Metal blockchain, right, which is all about security, appealing to those financial institutions.
Right.
And then you've got the XPR network, all about speed and making developers happy.
Right.
Metal L2 is what lets them talk to each other.
So it's like a translator between two different worlds.
Exactly. And not just between those two, it connects everything to the real world too. Makes it easier for regular people to actually use all this stuff.
Okay, so it's bringing everything together. Now, I noticed something in the materials you sent. Metal L2 is always mentioned with things like dApps and DeFi. Yeah. Is there a connection there?
Definitely. Metal L2 is like the foundation for building these decentralized applications, dApps.
Apps, right. And those are...
Think of them like apps on your phone, but instead of being controlled by one company, they're powered by the blockchain.
Interesting.
So you can trade crypto, lend money, even play games, all without a central authority calling the shots.
Okay, I get it. So Metal L2 is like the platform for this whole new wave of apps. And because it's built on Metal's tech, it gets all the same benefits, right? Security, speed, those zero gas fees.
Exactly. And here's the really cool part. Metal's actively encouraging developers to build on Metal L2. They've even got a grant fund to support new dApps.
Wow, so they're putting their money where their mouth is.
Big time. And that's one of the things that makes Metal so interesting. They're not just building products, they're building a community.
A community of believers. I love it. This has been an amazing journey. We've covered so much ground, from Metal Pay to the XPR network, even the Metal dollar. But before we let our listeners go explore on their own, what are the key takeaways about Metal?
For me, it's that they're playing the long game. They're focused on building something sustainable. And that emphasis on compliance and security, that's huge.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's not something you see every day in the crypto world.
Yeah, right. And the sheer scope of what they're doing, it's impressive. From everyday transactions with Metal Pay to empowering developers with XPR network, they're really hitting all angles.
All while making crypto more accessible, right?
Exactly. Lowering the barriers to entry, zero gas fees, user-friendly interfaces. It's about getting everyone involved.
Okay, last question. If our listeners could walk away with just one big question to ponder, what would it be?
That's a good one. I think it'll be this. Can Metal's approach, bridging that gap between traditional finance and this new decentralized world, can that be the key to really unlocking blockchain's potential? It's a big question.
It is. And only time will tell. But they're off to an incredible start.
Well, there you have it, folks. Our deep dive into the Metal ecosystem. We've explored their products, their vision, even the future of finance. Now it's your turn to explore further. We've got links to all the source material in the show notes. Until next time.